Skip, you and I both are old enough to remember both of these guys in their prime, and they were dynamic. Roy Jones was, for a decade, was the best pound-for-pound fighter there were.
He was.
He took on all comers, and people don't realize Roy Jones, if he hadn't got disqualified on his 50th fight, he was 49-1. And then he came back and avenged that loss to Montel Griffith. He had beaten James Toney, a champion in his own right, not only in the super middleweight, but James Toney went up to the light heavy. He had mopped the floor in the mid-90s with Bernard Hopkins. He took on all comers, and he just wiped them away. And he got robbed in the 88 Olympics and sold, too. Bring that up, Skip. But, Skip, I don't want to see this, Skip. Mike Tyson, I don't need to say anything about Mike Tyson. Skip, he was dynamic. He was probably the only guy that put fear. When he was walking to the ring with that cutout towel and those black trunks, and he was coming to the ring with a whole lot, he was coming in with bad intentions. Skip, that's what they call boxing. They call it the hurt business. Skip, you don't play box. You don't. I mean, what sport do you know? Say, you know what? I think I want to pick a sport that I can get hurt in. People pick up bowling. People pick up tennis. You don't pick up boxing. And you it looked like two guys out there that was very, very well past their prime, still trying to hold on to something. But I think both of these guys are smart enough to know this was fine for what it was meant to be. But if I go in there with some young lions, it's over. Not doing that. And Nate Robinson. I think Snoop said it best. You don't play fight. Skip. Kudos to Dion and Bo and Brian Jordan, Skip, guys that played two sports professionally at the highest level. But, Skip, that ain't the hurt business. Skip, you don't do this. And you can see one guy, even though he's not advanced in his skill level, he understands the techniques.
Yep, he does.
And one guy got in there thinking that because I played in the NBA and I was a great athlete, I can just cross over and I'll be... No, don't do that. And, Skip, we've got to get out of that. A lot of us, me, because we look at, man, LeBron would be a great tight end, or LeBron would have been a heck of a boxer, or this guy, he'd be a heck of a basketball player. We got to stop that. Because we fooling these guys up to get into something that they had no business in there, Skip. First of all, they should have put him in there with headgear. Skip, he don't know anything about boxing. Skip, you watched it with the shot that he took. Skip, he's coming in, hands down. Dude caught him with an overhand right, and it was lights out. I mean, people are like, well, a lot of people wouldn't have even stepped in the ring. I know, because a lot of people smart. People step in the ring that do that for a living. You have to understand that's what you do. Skip, there ain't no correlation between boxing and the NBA. Do you realize people try to hurt you in that? Skip, I legitimately try to hurt somebody. That's what they do in the ring. That's what they do in MMA. They trying to hurt you. Come on, guys. Skip, look, I watched it for what it was, and I didn't expect anything. But Tyson and Roy, they look like old fighters, well past their prime. Hopefully, if they want to do exhibitions, but I don't know, Skip, how do you exhibition fight? You know, if you play flag, you can play flag football. You can play an all-star game, and you can play softball for baseball. But how do you simulate that? Mike Tyson was trying to end the fight. I don't know what Roy was thinking. Roy was just trying to survive. Mike Tyson was trying to land punches to try to get him up out of there. And you saw what happened. Jake Paul caught him with an overhand right. Well, first of all, once he went down the first time, you know, and that's just to show you, Skip, what a fighter. Most fighters, when you get hit like that, what do you try to do? You try to run, get your bearings back. But what did Nate do? Charge straight ahead, get caught again, lights out.
Okay, I completely disagree with your take on Mike Tyson, but I will start with poor Nate Robinson because I agree times 10 with everything you just said about poor Nate Robinson. I used to be the biggest fan of Nate Robinson. My wife, Ernestine, that was her favorite player for years because he would just come in and light it up.
Yeah.
And he was little, but he was sleek and he was strong and he was explosive. And he was absolutely fearless and won 3, as we know, 3 slam dunk contests. So here he shows up, and my first issue was he's been out of basketball a couple of years, and he has, to me, to my eye, completely let himself go because he's gained, 15 or 20 pounds, and he doesn't look like Nate Robinson anymore because you know how hard it is to stay in shape after you stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
You stay in great shape. I know about staying in shape because I stay in great shape, so I get how hard it is, but especially when your whole life somebody told you, Shannon, you got to be in shape.
Right.
And all of a sudden, nobody is there to coach you or push you, and now it's up to you.
You got to love working out to do it, because if you don't, guys will say, man, I ain't got to work out no more. Nobody paying me.
I'm out, right?
You exactly right.
Okay, so poor Nate Robinson comes in, I don't know, 15, 20 pounds, looking different to me. He's a little pudgy, little stomach hanging over. And I'm thinking, Nate, what happened? And then as soon as the bell rang for round one, it was clear from the start he had developed zero boxing skills. I don't know if he had a coach or somebody to train him a little bit.
Skip, they taught him offense and taught him no defense.
Okay.
You do realize that there's two, and you got to do both.
Okay, so he played cornerback at the University of Washington, so he's got a football player's mentality, and he just attacked hell-bent like it was football. I'm coming after you.
Right.
He's just going in, just flailing away.
Yes.
Well, you know, and I know, if your opponent knows anything about boxing, it's like, thank you very much, I got this, and I'll just let you just throw and throw and throw.
He's going to walk you into a punch.
He's going to walk you right into 3 punches, because he caught him actually 3 times. He just blasted him. And the third time was not the charm, because it completely knocked him out. And I am not saying that Jake Paul, internet sensation, problem child, as they call him, is going to be the next Muhammad Ali, because he's not. But I think that poor Nate Robinson viewed him as just some white boy Rick.
Of course,
just some, I got this.
Yes.
Look at him. I can do this.
Yes.
Plus, he's quite a bit bigger than Nate.
Yes.
And he's way more skilled, for what it's worth, than Nate. Because Nate's got no skill.
Exactly.
Okay. So it was all-time embarrassing for a man who played the sport of NBA basketball at such a high level to wind up face down, knocked out. He was KO'd. I hope he's okay today.
But did you see Nate? Nate said he representing all athletes. He gonna show basketball players. He doing this for the culture. Skip, he said the culture back.
Lord have mercy. Okay, now on to Mike Tyson. And I will admit, I was the first, I heavily criticized him for his last 3 fights way back when. This is like 03, 4, 5.
Yeah.
After Lennox Lewis beat him, it was done.
He should have walked away then.
You're over and out.
Yes.
Okay, because he had no chance against Lennox Lewis, who I love. So he fights 3 tomato cans, and it just gets worse and worse and worse until the final fight, he just quits and he says, my heart's not in.
Yeah.
Okay, we get it. So here he comes back. He says he lost 100 pounds. It's hard to lose 100 pounds, man. But he actually looked pretty good to me. His body looked pretty good.
He did. I mean, he's only a couple of pounds heavier than what he was when he actually fought.
Correct. God bless you, man. That's hard.
Yes.
Okay. He still packs a wallop.
Yes.
He can still throw.
Yes.
He still has that sort of innate power where when he decided to, when he went at Roy Jones' body, he was rocking his body. And Roy Jones woke up on Sunday morning a sore older man at 51 years of age.
Absolutely.
His midsection, his ribs took a beating.
Well, he definitely needed that extra cushion, because if he didn't have
he did.
If he didn't have that cushion, it'd have been.
Now back to out of shape. I was just embarrassed for Roy Jones because he was in pathetic shape to my eye.
Skip, you got to realize Roy fought in the middleweight. So once he was super middleweight, 168, and then he went to light heavy 176, and he won the title from Weiss at 193. Skip, he was always in peak pristine condition.
Born in shape.
And I'm looking at Roy, I'm like,
what? Who are you? What are you doing? You had time. Can you not get back in a semblance of condition? But he did not.
Well, if he said he'd been training and that's the condition he got in for this, what did he look like before this?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, Brooks. That's Brooks' homeboy from Pensacola.
I got
and Emmett, all them went to school together.
It's only 3 years ago he fought.
Yes.
That Roy Jones was still fighting at a competitive level, quote unquote competitive, right? It was clear to me from the start that Mike Tyson had made a deal with Roy Jones. I will not hit you in the face. Mike Tyson didn't aim a single punch at his jaw, his nose, his eyes.
Right.
He just said, I'm going to hit you down here. And I'm going to hit you hard, but you're going to be okay down here.
Right.
You will not be okay. If I hit you up there, you're going to go down and you're probably going to go out.
Everybody knows that if you watch Mike Tyson fight, and I'm a Mike Tyson fan, I watch him, Mike Tyson did something very unique. He would always hit you to the body with the hook, and then he'd come up with the uppercut. He would bang, boom.
boom.
Not one time. It was just
Remember,
like body.
he's only 5'9".
Right.
So he can come from the floor all the way up and just rock you up under your chin.
And knock you off your feet. And he was like, sometimes he would throw that hook 3, 4, 5 times to the body, just repetition, just firing up shot after shot after shot. Skip, look. For what it was, sure. To see Mike Tyson, and for those that didn't see Mike Tyson, they'll never get an appreciation for who Mike Tyson was.
Okay, I got it.
But you know, Skip.
Okay, but Roy Jones had only one chance to make it through 8 rounds, and that's just to make it a hug-a-thon.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Yeah.
He just clinched.
I don't blame him.
Let's clinch. Let's dance. Let's dance.
Try to do a little pot shot here and there.
And he did one little leaping left jab.
Yeah, he tried to throw he tried to Will Mahomes a no-look jab.
Okay, just to make it look good. But in the end, where I disagree with you, I will not pay for another exhibition against some Roy Jones. But when it comes to Mike Tyson, I saw enough credible quickness left in his hands. I would pay to see him fight a quote-unquote young lion. I don't know who it would be.
No, Skip, I don't want to see that.
Okay, I do, because I think he could hang in. I would like to see him try to hit a man in the face, because if he could catch a man in the face who's 20 years younger, 30 years younger than he is, what is he, 56?
54.
54, yeah. 50, it was 54 to 51. 54.
Right.
So if we go back 30 years to a 24-year-old, I'll pay to see that, because I do not think Mike Tyson would, A, be embarrassed, or B, get hurt in that fight. I do not believe it.
Skip, man, this is a young man's game. You hear Floyd. Floyd talks, and Floyd just fought Conor, in 2017. He says now, yeah, I'll fight an exhibition. I'll fight a guy, Conor McGregor again, or some MMA guy, or some Jake Paul guy like that. He says, but I'm not getting there with Errol Spence.
Yep.
I'm not getting there with Keith Thurman. I'm not getting in there with none of those young lions.
I'm not talking about the highest level. I'm talking about some up-and-comer who's got some talent to him that you could sell. I would watch it. And I believe you would also pay to watch that.
Nah, I don't want to see.
Huh?
I don't want to see.
You don't want to see it.
What's he going to say? He want a rematch. Nate Robinson say he want a rematch.
They had the audacity to call that a draw.
Oh, no, there wasn't no draw.
It was a complete mismatch.
It wasn't no draw.
So don't give me rematch when you just put on a mismatch.
And another thing, Skip, I want these people to stop with, well, Shannon, you being hard and you guys are being hard on Nate. Nate chose this. Ain't nobody put no gun in their head and say you got to get in the ring and fight this guy. You call that guy out. You the one that was did all this talking about you going to represent for the NBA players. You going to represent for the athletes all across the world. You did that.
Yep.
You went in there with no skill, no training, or maybe they just taught you offense. But, Skip, he didn't block not one punch with his glove. He didn't block one punch with his shoulder. You don't block punches with your head and win a fight. So don't get mad at us because you got in there. That took courage. That was foolish.
Yep.
I ain't trying to look, I play the sport, Skip. I'm good with this. Give you an example. You look at Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy does MMA. Is he as skilled as John Jones or George St. Pierre or Adesanya? No. But some guy just walking off the street says, I can beat Greg Hardy in MMA. That's not going to happen.
Okay.
With no training.
My final thought is, as embarrassing as the night sometimes got, as much of a sort of clown show as it sometimes turned into, I thought our man Snoop saved the night.
Man, Snoop was crazy.
He saved it.
Snoop said, Lord.
He was fun. He was funny. He was insightful. He saved the night.
He did, Skip. He basically said, look, man, this just your two uncles. He said, Grandma going to have to break this up.
Right.
He said, Grandma going to have to break this up.
Honestly, what can't Snoop do, though? Like, the guy, it's just
man, the Nate
so
Robinson
good.
Skip, that was the all-time great commentary. Snoop said, Lord.
So good.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.